It was like when Steve Martin first came out. I worked as a roadie, for a lot of bands when I was a kid. And so, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, those guys, they created a thing we hadn't seen before, from anybody. I mean, Richard Pryor doing his as like stories. They weren't jokes. He would just start talking about these people he knew and then, go through the stories. And Carlin, coming up with all that witty stuff, here's some partial baseball scores, 1, 3, 7, shit like that. And so I was privileged as a kid to watch new brands of humor come out on TV that we could see. And I was roadieing a couple of shows for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, who I still kind of keep in touch with. And their opening act was Steve Martin because he plays banjo. So he played banjo before the Dirt Band came out. This is when I'm a teenager. And he did the arrow through the head, the whole thing. But he had kind of longer, curly hair, and he wore buckskin clothes and played a banjo. And there was a front of house guy named Danny Smith who I worked for, with this sound company. And I was back there at the front of house console with him, and I see this guy come out, and I lost my mind. I was screaming, crying, laughing, with some of the shit he did because he just came out and just said, I'm going to do the stupidest shit you've ever seen in your life, and people are going to laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like, and what he would just do the whole excuse me or whatever,
Yeah.
And so here's a guy coming out being over the top and putting arrows through his head and shit. And people couldn't get enough of it. And before he did that, nobody else had ever done that.
Right.
And all of a sudden, here you got a guy that, is doing it. And that became more the norm for a while. It's like it spawned a lot of other people. It's like when we did Bad Santa, there hadn't been anything like that.
Right.
And the next thing you know, after Bad Santa, there's bad moms, bad teachers, bad grandpas, bad next door neighbors, bad guy who works at the dry cleaners, And so, and those will last for several years, where people are kind of getting that in their head.